Thoroughbred Adoption by Caitlin Rowan and Emily Lemoine. Each year, thousands of thoroughbreds have their career ended at the racetrack. These amazing athletes are either retired, sold to slaughter auctions, abandoned, or placed in adoption agencies. Adoption of a thoroughbred can be a rewarding process, which can result in a great eventing horse, dressage horse, jumper horse, or companion horse.
Thoroughbred ancestry traces back more than 300 years to the three foundation stallions. Their names are listed below, and they are named for their respective owners. These stallions were imported into England in the late 1600s to be bred to the stronger mares. The result was a horse that could carry weight and sustain speed over long distances. The ancient sport of racing can be traced all the way back to 4500 BC. Organized racing started in 1745 in the United States when Governor Samuel Ogle of Maryland staged the first race, though records of horse racing have been found as far back as 1665 in New York. The American Jockey Club was established in 1894 to better unify the sport by setting rules and regulations. The Jockey Club has estimated that approximately 35,000 thoroughbreds are foaled in North America each year. Of these 35,000, 68% are destined for a career on the racetrack. Of those 68%, 70% will win at least one race, but only 5% will win a bigger pursed stakes race, and only 0.2% will win a Grade 1 race. But what about the rest? What about the unwanted horses? Many of these horses will be taken to auctions and sold to slaughterhouses. Some horses may be abandoned and left to starve in fields, and other healthy thoroughbreds may be euthanized because their owners can no longer afford to take care of them. There are a few lucky horses that are able to be rehomed. The filly on the right side of the screen was able to be rescued and taken away from her abusive owner and was rehomed in a rescue center.
This study is used to educate racehorse owners and trainers about what types of horses the aftermarket desires. This might also help them determine the optimal time to put a horse up for adoption. This study also found that there were color preferences for horses. Gray was most common, chestnut the second, and bay being the last. Horses with fewer activity restrictions were more likely to be returned, as were gray. Adopters were believed to react too quickly to these horses without evaluating their temperament and overall state. Actually, is a clip from the film Homestretch, which is about the relationship between the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation and the 9 correctional facilities it works with. Inmates build life skills while participating in vocational training programs and provide supervised care to the foundation's retired horses. Many go on to become productive, solid citizens and have been quick to give credit to the foundation's program. Thoroughbred Placement Resources, Inc. was founded in 2007 by President Kimberly Clark. This incorporation mostly deals with on-track horses, which are horses still stabled at a racetrack or race training facility, off-track horses, which are the horses that have either recently left the track and are being let down or at various stages of training for a new discipline, and looking for home horses.
Lucy Crone gave me some general information about adoption at TPR. On average, it takes 30 to 60 days for horses to get adopted at TPR. TPR will always take back and rehome any horse. Always bring trainers and vets to look over your potential horse. At the track, thoroughbreds are fed a high-grain diet. So when you bring your new thoroughbred home, switch to a diet with less grain. If underweight, your thoroughbred may have ulcers, so treat for ulcers. Also, go over the horse's whole body and look at hooves and teeth. When first turning out your horse, put him into a small paddock, then transition to a grass pasture. Also, you have to think about new pasture mates for your new horse.
There is some retraining your thoroughbred must go through. One of them is cross tie. Most thoroughbreds don't even know what a cross tie is. They are mostly groomed in their stall at the racetrack. Begin cross tying lessons in the stall when you bring them to the barn, where it is quiet and less active. Slowly bring him into the aisle with cross ties. to is behavior modification. Use a lead shank with a chain over the nose and a dressage whip. Walk him next to the fence. He must look ahead, but be aware of you. Position yourself at his shoulder and halt along the fence. He must learn to walk in tempo with you, and if he leans into you, use your elbow to keep the space between you. Use a voice command by saying his name, and then ho. If the horse doesn't respond, use the shank. To walk, stay by his shoulder and command walk, and then tap lightly on the rump with the whip. This builds up teamwork, and when he drops his head to you, it means that he recognizes you as the leader, which then turns into trust and confidence. Make sure to do this on the right and left side of the horse. Start riding your thoroughbred when he lunges comfortably at the walk, trot, and canter. Race horses usually have trouble finding good gait at the walk, trot, and canter, but not at the gallop or the jog. Clark usually starts on the rein that is easiest for the horse, which is usually the left rein. In canter, though, she starts off with the lead she dislikes the most. For power walking, you introduce corners, circles, straight lines, and rhythms of the gait, and proper halts. Turning. Try turning with more weight on the inside stirrup and seat bone. Keep the outside rein engaged and open the inside rein, but do not pull back on the inside rein. Use leg pressure to keep his body straight. We use reins and horses to ask the horse to do something, and we soften when he does it. In race horses though, reins are used to ask to do something, and then kept there as a reward.
Kimberly Clark, the president of Thoroughbred Placement Resources, purchased her horse, Dancing Spunky, who is also known as Spunky, for $500. During his last race, he fractured his sesamoid bone, and Kim was told to put him down, because he would never be found again. Even though Punky would never race, Kim couldn't bear the thought of getting rid of him. After about a 2-year rest, Kim was able to get on Punky again. Though the vets had told her that Punky would never be found again, he showed no signs of lameness. Once Kim realized he was found, she decided to start using Punky as a pony horse. His job did not end there. He was also used to help teach young horses how to behave properly while being led. Punky has even helped inexperienced exercise riders learn how to properly gallop. If Kim had listened to the vet, she would have missed out on a once-in-a-lifetime thoroughbred.
Constance Starr was a 2-year-old filly with only 280 earnings to her name. Because of this, her trainer contacted TPR, where the filly was adopted by an older woman who was experienced with thoroughbreds. 2 years later, in 2011, her owner contacted TPR to help rehome the filly. Kimberly Clark, the owner of Leichten Farms, realized Starr's brilliant talent and entered Starr in the Breeders' Bridge contest. This contest is the brainchild of John and Beezy Madden, with the goal of promoting North American sport horses and cultivating them. In 2012, Starr became one of the 2 winners of the contest at 5 years old.
Running for Their Lives is an HBO documentary that was filmed to show how many unwanted thoroughbreds are taken to auction to be sold to kill buyers. This film followed a young filly by the name of No Day Off, as she was taken from the Mountaineer racetrack to Sugar Creek auction. The people that were involved in filming this documentary were not allowed to save No Day Off in order to prevent the documentary from seeming staged. They wanted the people that were watching the film to see what actually happened to these horses. Throughout the documentary, they recorded numerous counts of abuse and neglect that these horses went through. The Sugar Creek 6 were 6 horses that, like No Day Off, were followed from the Mountaineer racetrack to Sugar Creek auction. Though these 6 horses were able to be saved at the end of the day, the majority of the horses at the auction were sold to kill buyers, never having a chance to be rehomed like the lucky Sugar Creek 6. This is about my personal experience with a rescued off-the-track thoroughbred. My horse, Toucan Tango, also known as Bear, was rescued from an auction by a lady who then sold him to me. Bear was extremely underweight when I purchased him. To build up weight, we first started him on hay and pasture since we were unsure of his previous diet. Once we started him on grain, we added an oil mixture to help him gain. He was also very scared of humans. It took a lot of time and patience, but slowly he started to trust me. As Bear began to gain weight, his personality began to show. He became a very loving and gentle horse that was very responsive in the ring. After a few years of training, we began competing in the local jumper shows, where Bear was able to use his thoroughbred speed as well as his God-given ability to jump. I became curious and looked up his tattoo number on the Jockey Club. When I found out that he had only raced in one race and had not finished, it was obvious to me that Bear had not been destined to be a racehorse. If that lady had not rescued him at the auction, his fate probably would have been like No Day Off.
There are many adoption agencies to choose from when choosing an off-track or on-track thoroughbred. Remember to always look at each potential thoroughbred. Buyers may pass by the perfect horse just because the horse may be older or not the right color. Knowing how a thoroughbred is trained at the track will help potential buyers understand how to retrain their thoroughbred when he is brought home. And while the adoption process can be long, the overall outcome can result in the perfect horse. If you would like to know more about thoroughbred adoption, the following sites are excellent resources.